My name is Jeannie Tyrell, and you are listening to Brain Drops. The Brain Drops podcast will provide every listener information about the Brain Drops Foundation. Today I am speaking to Winnie Tataw, an artist based out of Charleston, South Carolina. Yay! Thank you so much for meeting me and talking to me virtually.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, so we're having a very informal conversation about Winnie and her work. There's a piece called Lady Mizaru. Is that pronounced correctly?
Yes.
I really like that. It has very vivid color, but it's also delicate at the same time. And I noticed it had a lot of texture over the eyes. So kind of speak on your art and that piece if you'd like.
Yeah, like you mentioned, color and delicacy, or the act of delicateness, is really prevalent in my artwork. I'm really big on having emotions and things expressed through color and through texture, in my artwork. Usually things that are more on the feminine side, whether it be emotions, connection, living life, revival, new beginnings, things like that. And for that piece, it was really kind of hinting on just the struggles of women who aren't able to be seen, and have kind of like the rose tinted glasses on. And the color, again, with that, like the coolness was supposed to activate that as well and really draw that in and give those like somber feelings and emotions to it. So a lot of my work, I feel, is very emotional, and I do my best to express that through its color and texture.
Yeah, I saw that was the first thing that stood out to me. I was like, oh my God, I just want to touch it.
Yeah. Yes, that's always what I love to hear. Like people go, oh, I want to touch the work. I'm like, yes, don't do it, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one that really stood out to me. It was Sierra's Buttercups. Am I pronouncing it right?
Sierra, yes.
So
yes.
like, how do you go from the colors in that one back to Misera? I just thought like, oh, well, that's such a nice contrast. So can you talk a little bit about that one?
Yes. So that one was inspired by one of my bestest friends. I was making a collection of women in my life that were very close to me and dear to me, and what flowers I think best represented them. And through that, I also use colors I see with them or visualize with them. I see everyone has their own color or like color scheme or pattern, that I kind of associate with them, which I find kind of weird or funny, but everyone has their own little scheme. So when painting for her, she's very bright and bubbly, but also very soft and gentle person, and has a very big heart. And I wanted to express that through her hair, and also her colors, giving a lot of warmth and sunniness. I always say she always has like glowing skin, so really giving that golden esque look to her as well. I take every piece has its own personal story to it that I try my best to tell.
Yeah.
Without having to use those words all the time.
Well, you really captured that, especially with the buttercup, Sierra's buttercups. When I was looking at it, I almost like could see the flowers, which is the hair just kind of blooming out. And I thought, oh my God, this is such a I was so moved by that piece. So just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so I was seeing that you've kind of got an artist site that you're building and you're putting together. It's Live to Write, Love to Create, Laugh at Your Mistakes, Laugh at Mistakes. So where are you going with that?
So mainly it's kind of my life motto. I love, besides art, I also do write. That's my other, well, that's still kind of creative, or it is creative, in my other creative venture. I write and publish fantasy books. So writing and artwork, both of those, I feel I mix them together, even if it's not always prevalent. Like I say, all my art pieces have stories, and all my pieces of work that I write, I give them where you can visualize it. You can see what I'm writing. I like to be very visual in how I write. So when you're on a journey with a character, you're seeing what they're seeing. You're experiencing what they're seeing, or what they're feeling. versus artwork, you're experiencing what the painting's telling you or what the artwork is telling you. With laughter, I love, even though my artwork's not really funny or satirical, I do love to laugh and enjoy life and enjoy what I do. And I feel through artwork and making art and creating, whether it be written or individual sense, I feel that I can embrace that joy I have and I try to bring, and mistakes just kind of helps me remember that not everything has to be perfect. Not everything is going to go your way. There are some art pieces I say they speak to me and they're like, leave me alone. Don't add no more paint to me.
Mhm.
Don't mess with me. I'm just leave me be. And I'll try to force it and it just doesn't turn out right. And I just have to let them be. And usually when I listen to them and let them sit, they actually are really great paintings. I find that even with writing, like sometimes you have to let someone else look at what you're looking at, to really understand how good or bad it is, quote unquote. But really just embracing that not everything's going to be perfect. And maybe you have an idea and it gets ventured off its path, and that's great. There are certain things that start off one way and they end up a different way. And I think that's the best type of art, that has its own little journey that it follows.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's beautiful. Well said.
Thank
um,
you.
actually, I when I was going through your Instagram too, I saw that there was a painting that you had that I guess you let it sit for a really long time and then you picked it back up. Yuza?
Yes.
Yuza. Yeah, it says that
Yes.
it was over 7 years old, but you picked it back up, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk on that one a little bit.
Yes. So it was a process. It's again another collection of works. This one is based off my mother as different mother goddesses, and that one was the goddess of nature. And I had started at first just it was an old sketch I drew up, and it was just like a giant face with waterfalls and like animals coming out of her body. And I didn't like it, but I kept it because I knew I could use that idea in something in the future.
Right.
Um, and I tend to do that a lot with things that I may not like. I know one day I might revisit it and re-edit it or revise it or reshape it into something different. So I had kept that one little piece of paper that had that little drawing. And when I was coming up to create this line of work, I thought, I was like, I did something like this before with like Mother Nature with Earth. And I looked and I went through my like big book of scraps and drafts and saw, I'm like, here it is. And I took that base of like the waterfall. I still incorporated it into the picture with her hand and the waterfall, and really how in the original her body and everything was meshed into the nature scene. And I really wanted to kind of turn that up 1,000 and mesh it up really to feel that it is Earth, that Earth is all together and moving and very vivid and very fluid. So a lot of that came through, and with the blue background and making it very cool-esque and having that water in there and having the lava-esque hair, having parts that are moving and very fluid was important for this piece of work. And like I said, some things I think are best, like you just have to leave them be. I think if I would have tried to continue trying to work it or redesign it 7 years ago, it wouldn't have turned out to what it is now. Not everything that you do create at one point of time is going to look that same way forever.
Right.
I started now doing a lot of different artworks. I take things that I didn't like and I revamp them or I turn them into collages. And I think that really helps with creativity and getting new ideas. It's when you get to revisit old things and reinvent them into something new.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the picture right now that you have on your Instagram, and I can just see like all the different colors and the textures, and it really is a moving piece. I just want you to know that. It's really
Thank
cool.
you.
Even down to like you saying, like the texture and the lava and her hair just kind of flowing. It's really, really well done. So what's
Thank you.
next for you, Miss Winnie? What you got going on now?
Well, I'm still writing. I'm still making some pieces, doing shows. traveling with that, and also selling prints and artwork on my website. Hopefully that will start sooner than later.
What's your website?
So my website is winsartistry.com, winsartistry.com.
.com.
Yes.
Wins
Making sure
Artistry.
yeah.
winsartistry.com. Okay, well, great.
Yes.
I kind of just am putting this podcast together for people to kind of just speak on their expression, where it came from, like what made them turn their journey into an artistic one or a musical one or, writing. So any background information you'd like to share?
Yeah. So I started doing artwork and writing when I was probably not middle school, like elementary, but I really started getting serious in middle school. And I took a lot from my parents and my family, who are storytellers and love to tell stories. And I always wanted to find ways to write my own stories and have my artwork tell stories. And through that, I'm a lover of color. I'm always like my family, we always had very colorful parties, or we would go out when we would take pictures. We would always dress up in very colorful, bright colors. So color was also something I wanted to incorporate to tell the stories, because colors can give out different emotions. Red is very aggressive, or it can be very angry. It could also be very sultry. Black can be something of sadness, but some people, it can be renewal, or it can be the end of something to start something new. White can be purity. It can be innocence. It can also be another way of renewal and newness, or light or hope. So telling those stories through the vision of color was always important to me growing up. And as I got further into really diving into what I wanted to create, I felt doing a lot of things with nature and female body, or just femininity, or things I felt were feminine, which I tend to say anything that has life, I feel it's feminine. And sometimes that gets in trouble, but usually I just mean that I see it in the sense that it's connective and they're all together and it's all flowing and very free, and again fluid, versus things that I feel are more masculine, are like space, like things that are outside in the world. We don't know what's on different planets, really. We don't know what's out there in the big black blob of stars. I feel those things that are very mysterious, or things we can't really touch or hold. I feel those are what I incorporate with more of a masculine energy or sense, and really navigating that through textures and colors, and what I feel with certain things of that really helped me brand how I wanted to create art and what art I wanted to create. I'm a person that's always bigger is better. So I like to be as expressive as my artwork is. I like to have it large so you can see it and really incorporate it in its message. And you can go closer and see all the different details and see all the finer workings and scrolls and work color or texture or layers that's on it. I love for people to look and see that. And I feel when it's on a bigger canvas, I can create a more cohesive and well-working piece of work that tells its story. It's always my goal.
Hey, that's a great goal to have, and you're accomplishing that. I hope you know that. I can definitely, your work does evoke a lot of emotions when I was looking through and checking everything out. So talk a little about your process when you're painting stuff, like even your space around you when you're working.
So my space is usually cluttered, but it's organized chaos.
Hey.
But I like to collect like little trinkets or fabrics or buttons and things, and I'll put them in one little corner and I'll color code them. So everything is like a rainbow threw up in my area, but it's all in its own little space. And I usually start with what I'm trying to go for. Is it something outside? Is it a person? Is it a feeling? Is it a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? And then I start drawing, or I start if it's something a bigger scape, maybe I want to get ideas from other people. I might start doing research, looking at other artwork, looking at other, I love fantasy lore and I love mythology. So reading sometimes incorporates into what I create. So just reading and looking at other works of art and creative processes really helps hone me if I'm trying to make something bigger. If it's something small, like I just need to get out the emotions, I just need to get out something, I'll just put some paint and I just start going somewhere. And then that usually starts clicking. Oh, well, your next painting, do this. In your next drawing, add this. In your next one. And then that's how I can formulate something else. Sometimes the best way to get at it is just taking some paint, taking a brush and just start squiggling colors and blobs everywhere and going from there. And I find that very helpful too, to just kind of release it. Because sometimes some artists, we do get stuck in a pattern, in a process, and sometimes you don't need a process. You just need to do it. You just need to go get that paint or get that pencil and just start making some things and let your mind take you somewhere. And usually you can make a lot of good art out of it too.
Yeah, hey, that's really great. I'm so glad for you. You found a freedom that not too many people find. But has it always been that way for you, or is there a time in your life?
No, no, I can definitely say it took about a couple of years to get there. Again, I used to be just stagnant on just doing it. Has to be a process, do some research, look at some other ideas, collect things, look at things. And sometimes when you do that constantly, you have so much stuff and you're overwhelmed and you're like, okay, I have everything. I should be able to make something. I should be able to pick these things and put them together and make something. And your mind's just like, no, you have too much. No, it's you have way too much. You have all these ideas and they're not going to come together.
Right.
So sometimes I had to step back and breathe and be like, why can't I make anything? Why isn't it coming to me? And I realized it's because I was trying to plan out everything so much that I planned and planned and planned. And then I ended up with a blank canvas. I planned everything beforehand, but now putting it onto the work, when I put it on and I painted it or I drew it, it wasn't what I envisioned. It wasn't speaking to me. And then I said, okay, just let it go. Just let it be. And this not trying to force the work to work actually helped me make better artwork. I had to sometimes you just have to, some paintings, you just have to leave them alone for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Some drawings, you just got to leave them alone for a couple of months. And it's hard to say, oh, I'll get back to it. You may not get back to it, and that's okay too. Get some gesso and paint over it and have a new blank canvas. Certain things, like I said, I have paintings, I know they still got to wait a couple of years. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but when I get that spark of idea or imagination or creation, I'll take them and I'll use them. Yeah. But there was a time where I got overwhelmed, just always trying to plan everything out and start the process and finish it exactly the same, till I realized that not every piece of work is going to have the same process.
Right.
And some pieces of works, they did need a process and they helped. And that's how made the work better. And then sometimes even in the process, you still have to listen to the piece of art you're making. Sometimes they'll tell you, don't add green to me. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. Don't add yellow. Don't leave the blue. Don't mess with the face. Leave the nose alone. And just listening and sitting with the work and letting it speak to me and tell me its story really also helped me when I was in those ruts or when I was getting frustrated.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's really great. Thank you for sharing that with me. What's your Instagram?
It is Wins Artistry as well. So WINSARTISTRY.
Okay, yeah, you heard that, at WINSARTISTRY. Is there anything else you'd like people to know about your work and about you in general? Or
I would just say I love the color pink.
Hey.
The best color in the world, and you'll see it in a lot of my work, just because I feel it, for me, it's my universal color of every emotion. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's passion, sometimes it's sadness for me. So again, it's my universal color of how I can express things, and that there is no right way or wrong way of expression. And I feel sometimes people will feel bad when they aren't creating 5 pieces of work in 2 months or 10 pieces of work a week. And just knowing that everyone's creative process and slumps are different. And it's okay if you haven't picked up a brush in a year. It's okay if you have picked one up in a year and only did one piece of work. Everyone's process and journeys are different, and you should be proud of where you are and what you have created already.
Hey, I appreciate you saying that, because it goes a lot to what I'm trying to do and build with this foundation, because I've been working, and even back in my school days and stuff, my artistry, my creativity ended up becoming kind of a workhorse thing, and then it became not fun for me. And so I'm still trying to build this foundation, and I'm working out exactly what it even means to me. But what you're saying speaks on exactly what my goals are. So I just appreciate you saying that and just being on my level right now, man.
You're welcome.
All right. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you meeting me here today and being patient with that Google Calendar mess.
It's okay.
Yeah. Hopefully.
It's fine.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing some more of your work, and we'll communicate more in the future. Okay.
Okay. Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brain Drops podcast. Stay tuned for updates on our foundation, our guest speakers, and some interesting brain drops.